What's good, y'all? You dub back again. What's good, my Star Wars fans? Any Star Wars subs? Y'all know how I get down with Star Wars, especially if you know me personally. And this is like a reworking, retelling, redone version of a video I did, or tried to do a couple months ago, and I uploaded and accidentally deleted it. It was my Rule of Two video, and I didn't even get to see what people said. YouTube was glitching, and so it didn't seem like it uploaded, and then I accidentally clicked delete. I'm sorry for anybody, who watched that. I think I read like one comment or something. But anyway, we're back again. Why the Rule 2 did not work. Why it was not sustainable. Why it just wasn't overall good. Now, you'll have defenders of it, especially the defenders of the Sith. They love, look, just like any fanatics and any fanboys, they will love, protect anything. I remember dealing in Naruto, just on a side note, dealing with Naruto, and I did a video years ago, critiquing, the character Uchiha Itachi, and I was like, yo, Itachi had other alternatives, and there was other things that could have been done, but boy, did that cause a firestorm. People were like, this is what needed to be done. This is what the series said. And I'm like, the author clearly left way that the character should be critiqued. Even Itachi agreed. In the same sense, the Sith themselves didn't even agree with the Rule of Two in a large part. So take that in mind. The Sith themselves, especially in the later ones, as the Republic was falling, didn't agree. All right, there are four main points as to why the Rule of Two was not a good system. It was not going to work. It was not going to be fulfilled. Number one, it required complete obedience. Complete obedience. It required that every Sith Lord followed. For those who don't know the Rule of Two, if you're just joining in with Star Wars, and if you're not knowledgeable in the lore, if you haven't listened to various Star Wars channels out here on YouTube, the Rule of Two is that there's only to be two Sith Lords at one time, a master or a sensei and an apprentice, and that eventually the apprentice will rise up, and to become the master, the Sith Lord must that apprentice Sith Lord must kill the master to take the reins and take the power, and then the cycle repeats itself. The new master gets a new apprentice, and it goes there for the greater goal. And I'll get to that greater goal for a purpose. Greater goal purpose a little bit later in the video. But the whole thing is, bro, and I'll get to the end game as well. That's another point. But bro, this whole thing about complete subservience to this grand ideology that you didn't even necessarily subscribe to, that you did not yourself create. First of all, it goes against the Sith code itself. And again, that will be another point that I'll get to. But it's not bound to fail. The Sith, a lot of them are selfish. Sith Lords can be very selfish, especially if they're deep and hardcore into the dark side. They themselves think they can, bring the Imperial, power. They themselves think they can finish the grand plan. They themselves think they are the plan. They themselves may try to become immortal. They themselves think they can achieve ultimate power or whatever they desire via their own strength. Forget about a grand plan. And also, why would you want to just sacrifice yourself to an apprentice? Because that's part of what you're being required to. Which leads into point number two. The fact that this forced sacrifice. You know that you're living to die, pretty much. You're living to train someone to kill you. Think about that right now. You're living to train someone to kill you. When you're going to get people like Darth Plagueis and Darth Sidious. Now, Darth Plagueis, who's the master of Darth Sidious, wanted, and then you had Darth Tenebrous, if I recall, wanted immortality. You had Darth Plagueis chasing immortality. And you have Darth Sidious, Emperor Palpatine. Alright? He never actually trained a true successor. Emperor Palpatine never did. Darth Maul was a Sith assassin. Darth Tyrannus, Count Dooku was a Sith Lord, but he wasn't a true Sith, if you will. And Darth Vader, formerly Vader or Anakin Skywalker, he was a Sith Lord who wanted to kill Sidious, but Sidious, after Vader's failure on Mustafar against Obi-Wan Kenobi, Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, Vader got put in a purposefully limiting suit. Now, part of it was to enhance the power of the dark side, but another part of it was to make sure he couldn't take down Sidious. You would have to trust this insane plan to allow yourself to die. What good is that? What good is that in the end for the overall greater good? It's not necessity, it's not inherent that your successor will be better than you. Many debate that Darth Plagueis was greater than Darth Sidious. And in fact, some of the Sith Lords that came later who killed their master teamed up. They didn't do it themselves. They weren't necessarily better. If I recall, Darth Bane's own, who was the originator of the Rule of Two, his successors, as far as I know, they weren't better than him. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, please do. Moving on to number 3, the whole thing of the galactic plan, all right? The end game, if you will. How would this inherently lead to victory? We can see it's not sustainable. The Galactic Empire, after striving for 1,000 years, people are like, yeah, Sith fanboys, it got completed. But wait a second. Imperial fanboys, it got completed. It lasted 2 decades. You went for an entire millennia, plotting and conniving, going through the shadows to be destroyed in 2 decades. And by your own. Not by the light side, not by the Jedi, not by, it wasn't Luke Skywalker. Young Jedi Knight. It was Darth Vader. Think about that. Which goes into point number 4. Only 2. The rule of 2 itself inherently defeats itself. Only 2. Now, in case you don't know, and I could have said this at the beginning of the video, but in case you don't know, the rule of 2 is made because it's a victim or a product, whichever perspective you want to take. It's all a matter of perspective, right? In Star Wars. Whichever perspective you want to take, the rule of 2 is a product of this era because Darth Bane came out of an era where there was too many Sith and they fought amongst themselves and pretty much destroyed the Sith Order. So he went to the extreme and said, look, we need to put a cap on the Sith Order. Instead of taking the best candidate, training the best, and building brotherhood. No. We're not going to be like those warlords. We're going to have a master and a student. You're limiting the numbers of the Sith. Yeah, they can be powerful, but you're limiting the numbers. You could be eliminated. Yeah, they can eliminate a lot of Jedi, but the Jedi just have the sheer numbers for 1,000 years. And even after, and then, okay, let's say things happen, unforeseen tragedies, then they die. Either of, before their time, or they can be killed off. Especially what if, let's say, a master doesn't have an apprentice, or an apprentice who's not worthy of being a Sith Lord yet, and the master dies. Now what? What was Darth Bane thinking? He really thought this was going to last. And how do you say with that any of the successors, how do you know when the plan will be completed? And how do you know that they'll actually follow the plan? The whole rule of 2 is so problematic, which is why it took so long to succeed, and which is why it ultimately failed. Now, I will be doing about the Sith rule of 1 and its flaws sometime soon. And let me know what other videos y'all would like me to do on Star Wars. I have my own perspective on what the Force is. Probably going to do some more videos on The Last Jedi. I've been slacking on those. Just let things ride. I've been busy in my life, but we back at it again. We back in the game. All right, y'all. Unexpected Warner. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts. And until next time, have a beautiful night. Peace.